throwing in your work in progress there. Let me see here. Yeah, you should be playing around a lot with this. So we're gonna take a look at a few of these nodes today and how they were created and all. I also, for those, because one of the assignment instructions calls for, I believe, calls for the use. Oh, give me a second. Let me find it. It calls for the use of using an alpha. And if you don't know how to create an alpha, I need to show some of you how to do that type of thing today. And you can use Photoshop for this. Let me find what I need. Let me see. Does it say anything about an alpha? Create an icon alpha in Photoshop, then apply. Yep, it does. Under part one. So that's one thing that we're definitely going to need to look at today. Real quick, okay, real quick, here's what I want to mention for some of you. Some of you, I don't know what most of you are trying to do in your careers, if you want to be an asset modeler, character, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. But I do know a few of you want to be environmental artists. So this guy is in my list of resources. Um, I highly, 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 highly recommend that you study his work. This is the most intensive, most detailed information out there on using materials in Unreal. Okay. Um, this level of understanding requires multiple classes and we don't have these multiple classes. So this is why I'm recommending this guy, Ben Cloward. So whatever it is you want to get into, if you're looking to create something special and unique, this is going to be the guy for that. So part of your asynchronous research, this is what I recommend. Here's what's pretty cool about him. Some of you may be game developers, meaning you're in that computer science and game design program. He covers how not only how to do this stuff inside of Unreal, but he translates that over to Unity also, as you see these videos right here. So if you want to learn to do it in Unreal, great. If you want to learn to do it create the exact same shader network inside of Unity. It covers that also. So this is a lot of stuff. It covers shaders and if you are going into level design, if you're a developer, you want to have a good understanding of how your PC works with shaders, and you can find a lot of this stuff. Now, there is a playlist, and inside of this playlist, it's going to be kind of hard to figure out what you need. But you just have to go through it. He will do these things in like groups. So you notice that as you are going through this stuff, the number seems will seem to change a lot. So it just depends on what it is you want to do. He may have, say you want to create some sort of a landscape, like he has one in here on height maps. Well, there may be 15 videos in here alone. Okay, so as you clicking this thing, a second here, see? This is all the information on creating a height map. And then he's starting from 15 on down. So this is very, very valuable. This is where I will start outside of the stuff that I'm covering on basics for you all. This is where I would get in and learn a lot. He's also covering HLSL shaders, which if you know anything, what most of you won't know this, but these are shaders that you can use and we can employ inside of programs like Maya. So he covers that understanding there. This is a lot of information, valuable information to keep you busy. If you really want to get in deep into how this stuff works, you want to put yourself out front when it comes to trying to find work and things like that. It's going to be all knowledge based. I am in contact with one of my old students. She is an environmental artist out at Obsidian. Um, I think she's in California, so she works for Obsidian gaming. It's a gaming studio. I'm sure some of you have played some of their games. She started out as a texture artist, and she is now the lead environmental artist out there. So I'm picking her brain on a few things, especially with this whole AI thing and how they're using it, which she says they're really not using it. So um, I'm also going to pick her brain on how they're using the material libraries and things like that. I'm trying to get her into, we're going to set up an interview through the Creature Guild with her sometime down the road when she has some time. So um, she started out doing stuff like this. This is why I'm bringing her up. So she started out doing stuff like this, but her knowledge was not nowhere near as vast as what this guy is going to cover. So I highly recommend that you spend some time over here if you're really interested in your craft and what you do and what we're doing. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. We're going to take a look at how to create a few of these things, but I definitely want to show you how to create this right here. Okay. So what we have here, I created this little demo obelisk inside of ZBrush, and did a little quick textures, ugly texture on it. I did some texturing work and it baked out all the correct maps, and what you can see here. Now in this class we don't cover that stuff. I cover all that stuff in the 3D modeling classes and the advanced 3D modeling class. The 3D modeling class, we go through a complete how to build a game asset from start to finish, how to pack all the UVs, how to UV map it, how that whole studio process is what I cover there. So on something a whole lot more complicated also, we won't be doing simple stuff like this, but I'll show you how to do stuff like this. In the advanced class, we cover more character work, which utilizes the exact same techniques. You have to know how to get your models into Unreal the correct way, okay? And inside of Unreal, what I have here, a second, let's change the thumbnails over. I have a series of textures, okay? A lot of these textures are being baked out of Substance Painter. And you may not know this, but the way Unreal prefers you to work now, it wants you, there's a process called packing. It will take 3 maps and pack all of those together to save resources inside of the engine. Okay, so it'll take the weight off of the processor and the GPU and all that good stuff. So we have a few packed, and the ones that are going to be packed will say occlusion, roughness, metallic. Remember I mentioned those. That's what the ARM system was about. The reason why I mentioned the ARM system is just a way of remembering how to connect those nodes inside of the material editor. So what we want to do here is I want you to have a very good understanding of what these are. So I give you these to play around with. The only thing that you won't have is my logo, and you won't have these gradients. We can create gradients today, and I want to show you how to create your own, how to create an alpha, not a logo, but how to create an alpha inside of Photoshop today. So I have some mask information in here. I have an emissive, which I'm using an emissive, and I need to show you what that means. I also have an alpha for the emissive work in order to get an emissive. An emissive is pretty much what that is. You see how this stuff is glowing right here? See that? This is how you get lights to work inside of Unreal through textures. This is the process of what they're using to create this little glowing effect for all games that you see out there. It's called an emissive. And that emissive uses an alpha to do that. That simple little thing right here is what the colors are coming through. That's all. It's like a cookie cutter, right? So we can create those types of things, but just for the sake of demonstration, I give them to you to play around with. You are not allowed to use this thing in any other class. I don't want to see it being used in some other instructor's class. I don't want to see it on your websites. I don't want to see it being used in somebody's game somewhere, because if you do, you're going to have a legal problem with me and my company. I'm telling you right now. So do not do that. So we have some emissive stuff there, but we have the color, we have a normal map, we have the what is this? This is a curvature map that we can utilize, which we won't be using here. These are just extra things that are baked out. But the curvature map, I can use in other packages if I need to showcase this in a unique way. So we'll take a look at that. So first, let's go ahead and start playing around and looking at some of this other stuff here. I have some screenshots on how this stuff was created. I'll share later, but what I want to do now is that all of these here are from the assignment. The overall assignment, this is what you see here. Now, you will have to remember you have to create your dielectrics and non-dielectrics. Have to have that list. You saw this process here, how to create the little mid-gray. I don't want, the only thing that's missing is the black ball. I think that's the black one, and then we're missing the middle gray here, but you have to have those there. But some of this other stuff here is going to be pretty simple. So I'm going to select that first one and double click here because we just want to take a look at how it's created. We're going to change the colors here a little bit. Let's maximize this. All right, so to create this little sphere here, this color sphere, I have two color 3 nodes, okay, or constant 3 nodes there. And again, how do you create that? What's the shortcut to create a constant 3?
Hold down 3.
Hold down 3, the number 3. Yes. And do what? Okay, if I hold, okay, I'm holding it down. Now what? Nothing's happening. Click what? Click where? Click here. Click here. Explain it to me. Say it out.
Hold down 3 and click in the material graph.
Yes, you're gonna need to be able. The reason why I'm asking you these things is just not for my benefit; it's for yours. So, sometime down the line, some of you are going to be instructors, and I don't mean instructors in the classroom setting. I mean instructors in these studios. You're gonna need to be able to explain the process step by step to whomever it is you're working with, working for, or working who you might be supervising. Okay, you need to be able to do that, and they're gonna ask you to do those types of things. So I have a constant 3 here. So this is the node that contains all of these particular properties right here, which is not a lot. So we can change the color here. So for example, I do have other ones in here. See that? I do have some other ones in here. But for example, I can come in and if I click the swatch here, I can change the color, maybe over to a purple-ish type thing here. There we go. So we can swap out these if we need to. And you notice that we're seeing the actual RGB colors here also down. And I also need to show you how to create an instance for the sake of your team. So you don't want your team coming in and messing up. This is going to be the master right here, the master setup, but we can create an instance, and I'll show you that in just a second what that means. Okay, so what I have here is a LERP, which stands for nonlinear interpolation. What that basically means is it's going to take these two colors and sort of blend them together. Okay, and you're going to get a totally different effect if you use an add, if you use a divide, if you use a multiply. You need to go through those nodes and study out those nodes on what they do. There's a video somewhere on this channel. I'll provide a link, and I think there's an artist that covers every single node, and I mean every single node inside of Unreal when it comes to the material editor. So we'll see if we can track that person down. Now the thing here is we are blending because we are using an alpha. Okay. We can also, for example, see that alpha there? We can use an image as an alpha if I need to. For example, I'm not going to use the claw or the foot, the alien's foot. Let me find. I'm going to go to the starter kit. Let's find and see if we have a texture, one of these textures here. Any questions on any of this, and if some of you have run across any issues or anything like that? Anybody? Let's see. Let's see if we can use one of these textures here. Something's good. It's by Cobblestone. So I'm going to take the Cobblestone. Let's drag it in here. Okay. An alpha. So what do you mean when you say alpha? Where in the screen are you referring to? This right here. There's a channel here that says alpha. See it? That little right there. That's alpha. An alpha is a way for me to cut out and determine and where I want certain detail. That is what I showed you with that little spiral when I was discussing the emissive. That is, it's a black and white image that I can use, which it uses data between 0 and 1, so it can be grayscale like you see here. This is grayscale information. This is a scalar information. We scale up and down between 0 and 1, or 0 and 100%. Okay, so I technically can pipe in. We do have an alpha section here, but I don't think this image has an alpha on it. So I would have to go back and double click it, but I should be able to pipe this in here and use this. See there, I can use that image as the cutter, as the alpha. So you can either use a constant 1, constant 2, or whatever to sort of help you with the blending motion there, or we can use an alpha to do that if we need to. We can also do stuff like this. I can take that constant, I can create a multiply, hold down the M key and click. I can pipe this in here, and then pipe this in here, and then right click here and go there. Okay, and you see it changes. So as I change this, inside of Unreal, when you're dealing with these nodes here, it is all about control, control, control. You want to control every aspect because your team may come in and say, hey, we need some little pattern like this, but we want to be able to control that pattern and what happens there. So I'm able to come in here, and as I move these values up or down, you see something is happening there. So we can do that, and you want to be able to do that. We can also increase the intensity of this thing here. We need to by using a certain constant. For contrast, it's called a special contrast node, so I can make this darker if I need to. It's all of this stuff is about control. But you notice also I'm using the RGB. It's taking all of these. I can pipe in just one. So it's going to take certain, remember what I said, in order to get the color of a thing, it's a certain value of the red, green, and blue, certain percentage that is being applied here. And if I try to apply that here, the alpha, there's really not an alpha on this thing. Okay, so you can play around with these things to your heart's content, but we have the ability of adjusting the texture if I need to adjust the texture. I also can adjust the UVs on that texture, meaning I can say, well, I want the patterns to be very small or really, really large, and that's called a texture coordinate. I think the shortcut, it was U. Yeah, it's the U key. I think that should be it. So I can pipe that in here, and let's see what happens. So you see the U tile and V. So the U and the V tile. U is going to be everything that goes horizontally. V is going to be vertical. So basically what's happening is I can control the tile in there. So if I want this thing to have more patterns, let's put in a number like 3. See what's happening in 3. So the patterns are getting smaller by doing something like that. So we can put in 10 and 5, or let's just go keep it consistent, 10 and 10. So you get this little snake skin type pattern going on just from that little brick pattern, and we piped in a coordinate system. These are things that you learn more in a 3D class when you're getting to texturing and all, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce it here. So some of you might be taking a 3D class right now where you're getting some of this information, okay? But from here I can continue to go and put in 0.5. And you see what's happening there? We see that a little bit better. Just there alone. Another thing that I can do here to enhance this if you really need to. So let's just go back. We have the colors here. And let's go and take that little color right there and change it. So I'm going to pipe in that one there. See what it gives me. This is having to catch up. There's an error. So somewhere in here, there's an error. It did not like this. So whatever this is, let's see what kind of node this is. It did not like that node. Yeah, this is a constant 4 node. Let's delete that. Let's go 4. See if we get the same error. Nope, we don't get the same error. And let's go and change the color again. There we go. Okay. So as you see, we can really get down and dirty in here and play around with all of this stuff here. We also have here your colors for your values for your metallic. So you want to make your make this thing a marble. We can make those changes there using your roughness and your metallic here. We also can make changes to the normal set by finding a normal here in the texture. So somewhere in here for that stone, I don't know if the stone actually has a, yep, it does. So the stone has, right there, has a normal. So normally when you're creating these things, you can take a photograph. There are means and ways of taking you can go out and shoot a photograph and convert that photograph over into a black and white. And from the black and white, you can create a normal. There's software, it's free software out there that will help you create height maps, displacement maps, normal maps from a photo. This is the way we used to have to do this stuff in the past. And normal maps are never created from color information. They're only created from the grayscale information. So I can bring this in here and pipe that in. So you see now we're getting this stone that's a little bit larger. Now the only drawback and the only problem we're going to have with this thing here is the texture coordinate. I may have to put this one into that one also to keep it consistent. And see, now we have this little cobblestone, pink cobblestone. See the power here? See what you can do there just by playing around a little bit. Right now, I don't know if any of you have figured this out yet. I want to say, let me see if I can remember what the shortcut key is. Is it C? There we go, C. You can, if you select an area or the nodes that you want to sort of put in a folder or a special group, we can call these the color, because sometimes you're going to have a tree that may have hundreds, if not thousands of connections. You want to keep all this stuff separate. Okay? So with that being said, like down here, like right in there, I can control the normal. So I may want to go in, I'm holding down the C key, or I'm going to tap C, not holding down the C key, just tap C. Normal map. We can increase this because I may also want to change. Remember what I did up here by adding a multiply to make those small adjustments to the normal. I can do the exact same thing here. So let's do that right quick. I'm just going to take these two, Control D to duplicate, and drag them right there. And let's go right in here and then into the normal. Okay, so now I can make that major change if I need to. You can also, if I'm not sick, if you want to you can right click and you can start a preview. So sometimes you want to be able to just preview a specific zone, a specific thing, without everything being applied. If I right click here and I say start the preview, this is going to go blue and it's only going to show me just that particular area. This is called, when you see just flat color, that's called an albedo. So this is our albedo look or map there. And I can right click again and stop. There's a shortcut. I can't remember what the shortcut was. So we can stop the preview mode. And you can do this for pretty much anything here. So if I want to right click here and start the preview, it's only going to show me this connection. See it? Just like that. So let's build this up a little bit more, because your team comes in and says, hey, we don't have enough, what is it? We don't have enough contrast here. There is I got to find the right one. I'm going to type in contrast, and that's not what it's called. What is it called? Give me a second. Let me go check my notes. Where did I put that? So I can remember exactly what that is. Hold tight. I'll be right back. I got it. It's called. See, here's the one thing that I'm not a fan of Unreal. They have their own terminology when it comes to certain things, just like other programs like Blender and all may have certain terms and the way they do things. There, it's not really consistent to how most artists are known to work. So over here, they have their own naming convention. So that thing is called a cheap contrast. Instead of just calling it contrast, they call it a cheap contrast. What a cheap contrast much means is I can give this thing a little bit more, I can make it darker, okay? I look to give it a little bit more value, okay? So I can pipe that in here, then go into, hold on, let's go into there. Let's preview this. Let's turn off this preview, right click to end it or stop it, right click and start. So I want to check the contrast, but there's nothing there for me to increase the value. So I'm going to hold 1 and click to create a constant 1. And now I should be able to come in and make changes and make this a little darker. See what it's doing is making that darker. Just like that. For cheap contrast, just introduced you to another node. Let's stop that. So it's a little bit darker there. And sometimes your team says they want to invert. What was that? Let's see if it's not even called an invert. It's called a -1. One minus. It's called a 1 minus. It's crazy. It's just, I wish they would just call this invert. It's called a -1. So what that -1 pretty much is I'm gonna right click here and let's start our preview again. Say I want to, you see how all the cracks are black and everything that is white is popping out. I want to invert that so I can apply a -1 node to that. The only drawback I see to applying a -1, well, let's figure out where we want to put this. Let me remember the best way of doing this. I may need to use a multiply. Yes, because this thing here, when I send this here and into there, it should technically, well, right click here and let's stop. Oops, stop. See what it did? Now when I right click here and start that preview, see it inverted it. So I need a way of inverting that in real time when I need to invert that in real time. So what that may mean, well, I already have, I need to get it here into this little, onto that little -1. Okay. So maybe a multiply. And on that multiply, let's move this stuff over. Is this making sense to you all, or are you just like, oh, what is he doing? I don't get it. I'm taking my time here.
Yeah, it's making sense.
Yeah, you still don't have questions. A lot of you still don't have questions, okay? I'm not available after this class. I'm letting you know. I'm just telling you now. You got to deal with the next person, and I can tell you, some people they don't do the whole material tree thing. They're gonna expect you to already know how to do this stuff. All right, so we have that -1 is taking the inverse of this image, that image there, and now I need to pipe this in. Let's do a constant and let's run it here. And now let's right click here and I'm not even gonna connect it. Let's right click and start a preview. See if we can, so we don't see anything there. I'm hoping that this is what I'm gonna get. 1 and let's see, 0.5. I don't think this is it. I think I need a switch. something to toggle this on and off is what I need. But you notice that it only goes in and it comes out. I wish there was a way. I need to look into it. There may be a way for the -1 for us to switch, turn that thing on and off. Turn it on. And matter of fact, I don't think I need this. So let me show you. Let me talk to you about things like creating a instance. Right now, in order to convert this thing over to what's called an instance, I need to convert all of these select nodes. I need to convert select nodes over to what's called a parameter. So if I right click here, I can convert to a parameter. I can give it a name. We'll call it color 1, color 2, color 3. Right click, convert texture. Maybe we want to call this grayscale. GS texture. Okay, we have the texture coordinate, which I don't think I can change that one. I should, and I need the ability to change that one, which is not going to be done here anyway, but it is because when I click it, see, I want to be able to, I need to change it here. So, right click. I think it's already a parameter. It may already be one. So all of these values here, the cheap contrast, all of these values, we can pretty much, I'm just going to convert them. Leave the name there, right click, especially this one. So I think this one may not allow me to convert. I don't see a way of converting that. Okay, and then the normal map. Convert to parameter, normal map. We have right click, convert to parameter. I don't have to do that. All of these convert to parameter. So this one is going to be the metallic. Right click, convert to parameter. This one is going to be the roughness. Let's see what else we have here. We have our lerp, which I don't need to change. We have the multiply, right click. I think that's already been done. So for example, I'm going to apply this, and what I may need to do here is I'm going to duplicate the sphere. So let's apply. I didn't need to do that. It was going to change both of them. Yes, it was. So, but I can always change that back. And let's save this here. Okay. Now, let's go find. So I'm going to select the sphere here. Now, if I lose and I need to get back to wherever my textures are, if you select an object and you come here, you can technically come in and click that little button right there, or click that little button right there. I think it's that one. It'll take you, it'll find the folder for you. Okay, I can right click here and just do a quick, what I want to do is create what's called an instance. Create material instance. What it's going to do is create, we'll call this pink ball instance. It's going to create the instance for you. Okay, when I double click here, you notice, now look at the difference. When I double click this one, this is the original, I get the tree. When I double click this one, I don't get the tree. I get everything else that has a parameter on it. So all those parameters that I created, that's what I get right here. So I'm now able to come in and I can take a look at it. See here? All of these little check marks, I can play around with every single one of these parameters. I can turn everything on here. And I can even change the colors from here. And that prevents my team from screwing something up. Okay. So if I want the normal map, if I don't want the normal map, I can turn that off. If I don't want the texture, I can turn that off. I want to be able to change the texture, I can change the texture from within here, whatever the list is. If I have a list of other textures, in which I do see them right here, they can quickly go in and make those changes. I didn't name these, and I should have named these, but I'm able now to come in and do all kind of little stuff like this to just make those changes as I see fit. See what's happening there? So that is an instance, and you want to make sure that you're creating instances for almost everything that you create. Yes, I think there's a way, there's a different node in here somewhere where you can blend multiple colors together. I just don't remember what the name of that node. So there's blends, colors, so you can blend these in unique ways, but there is I'll see if I can find that for you. There's a tree in here, or a node for blending. No, Kai, you're keeping a copy. You're not touching the copy. The copy is going to be this copy here is going to be that master one. So pretty much you can tell your people, you can put these in separate folders and call them master materials or whatever, to keep them from coming out. But when your team sources out these particular instances, this is what they're gonna see. This is the only thing they're gonna see. If you notice, sometimes when you download certain people's materials, they hide. There are ways of, if I'm thinking of hiding the master ones, so you don't see them. You can always get back into the master one, because notice here, this is the instance, but look here, under general, we see parent. So through this parent, all I have to do is double click the parent, and I can get back in to make changes there. Okay. So yeah, you do have that ability. There is a way of locking this stuff out. I just never use it. Okay, because I totally work in a totally different way. Nobody's touching my files anyway. And all. So let's take a look at some of these other ones here. There's one called slope. There's a problem here with this slope one. But this is how the slope is being. And you notice this has a parameter. So there's a parameter there, which I really need to name these. So we have color. And I'm not sure what these are because they are not named. They're scalar parameters, which means that most likely this is going to be the metallic and the roughness, some form or fashion. So we can come in and double click on the master, and we can play around here and see what we have. Yeah, I think that's what these are. They also have a texture assigned to them. So I want to break this thing up. Nothing in nature is clean, so you always want to break up your textures or break up the material a little bit with some sort of dust or with some unique texture and all. Okay, so give your team everything. Think about everything your team might need to want to make changes here. So they're not coming back and saying, "Hey, we needed to add this. I want this. I want that. I want that." Sort of, and you got to anticipate what their needs a little bit. Okay, so here's what we have. We have a this looks like a color 4, same thing, but this time we have this little texture slope. And all this is a texture. Okay. Yeah, textures and the normal maps are different. They are. Give me a second, we'll get back to that. So we have this texture here, and see the texture is nothing but a gradient. It's nothing but a gradient. So let me show you real quick. Let's go over here to Photoshop. And I want to show you how to, for those that may not know how to create these things. I don't know the texture size. We can go in and look for that texture size. It's saying this is imported 64 by 256. Yeah, that's kind of crazy that is the texture. So all I did was double click on that texture to give me information. Okay. But we can create our own and expand that. So 250, maybe we can go with a 256 by 256. Oh, you guys didn't see that. I'm sorry. Over here, I double click here, and it will give you information on the texture. Okay, that's what's happening there. I'm just seeing the information right there on the imported texture. Okay, So back over here inside of Photoshop, I'm going to create file new. And let's go to pixels, 256 by 256. And we don't want the resolution that high. We're going to go at 72 because we're playing around with the digital format or screens. So something like that. Show you just how simple this is. You're going to create a gradient. All it is a gradient. And this gradient is going to use black and white. Okay. So from the top to the bottom, we can go like that, but the colors are off. So it's using, this is where when you apply that gradient, we need to change the colors here. They keep changing this, and I hate how they keep changing this. There's a library in here. You can go in and do stuff like that if you want to. But there is supposed to be a way of just changing the color. So you see, I can click here and pick whatever color I want. Let's cancel that, but I want to leave this as a black and white. In the middle here, I can slide and figure out where I want to place that gradient also. So you can have a series of these and save these out for Unreal if you want to do something like that. So the location, let's leave this at 50%. And I don't know if I have to apply this. Let me see, because yeah, I'm not a big fan of how they are working here. That's just the invert. How do you make sure that we're done here? Maybe I just click off. Yeah, click off. So there's our gradient. So I'm going to select, or not select all, I was just create a copy of this thing. Let's put it on the desktop someplace temporarily. Put it in my temps. PS images, Photoshop images. VW Brad for gradient, and I want to save this out. Now the formatting is going to be everything. We can save it out as a, let's do a PSD first. Let me copy this, and I'm going to save it again as a PNG. Do a copy. PNG. VW. Brand. I'll tell you what, let's go _A. Okay. So I need to go find that. Give me a second, I'm on screen. Hold tight. Let me go do this. Do it this way. There we go. Any questions? Photoshop. There we go. I have these two.
No, not yet.
So I'm going to close this. Let's say, did I make a change there? Let's just say yes. So let's go into imported textures, and I'm going to import these textures right into this folder here. Okay, so you see, I see the two. Now so this is the PNG, this is the actual texture one. If I open it up, it should give me information, 256 by 256. This is the size and all. You guys are not seeing that. There we go. So I dropped it in. Photoshop could be the yeah, that's a good way of creating your own textures if you need to, but technically you don't have to do that now. Kai, if you're looking to create your own texture sets, you need to look into a program like at this on campus now to work as an artist in environment, character, asset. You need to learn Substance Painter and Substance Designer. You can design your own textures using Substance Designer. It's also, you have access to both of those for free, I think, through Adobe. So Substance Designer will allow you to create pretty much any pattern that you can think of. It is node based also. It's similar to using the materials or the nodes inside of Unreal, but they have a lot more. So take a look at that. Okay. So yeah, you want to get into Substance Designer and master that. So here is my actual slope there. Okay. So you see, I have, this is my new one. This is the vertical one. I created this one some time ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, I brought this in. So you see they look a little different. This is 512. The other one is 256. Okay, so we have these two different ones here. And back over here, you notice, I got too much stuff on the screen. You notice the position is a little different. See that? It's a little bit different. And I don't think I can come back in and make a change here. Let me double click here. Nope, let's double click here. Sometimes they'll allow you to make these changes. Nope, 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 nope. I would have to create a new layer here. Can I make the change? Yes, I can. I can still make that change because this is non-destructive. So let's take a look. So on this one, I have back over here, if you notice, we have the white at the top, black on the bottom here. And on the other side is the inverse. So I can do something like that. It looks a little different on my screen than what you're currently seeing in the video. So let's go File, save it as copy. Let's just save it as a PNG. Let's go call this one B. And save and say OK. Okay, I'm gonna drag and drop that back over here. There you have it. See the differences? So now all I need to do here is let's go and select that one. Let's go and find it. Or I can just double click from here. I don't need to even go and look for that thing. And we can start playing around with that gradient. And that slope, see, it's right here. This is the original slope that I'm using. But I can easily drag and drop one of these in. Say, let's drop B in. Let's see if it comes in. So something is preventing me. I can't drop it in here. I can only drop it here first and before taking it and bringing it in into there. This is the easiest way of making a slope. Because there are other means. There are slope nodes inside of Unreal. And they can be a little complicated. And some of my students in past classes went out and did a little bit more research, and I provided you all. It's in the somewhere in resources. They discuss that, and I think there are also videos over there from different artists that will discuss how to create, more interactive slopes if you want that. So let's take here. Let's go in there, and let's see if we get something different. And we do. See that? We get something absolutely totally different. Texture coordinate, I'm going to pipe it in here too. Okay. And you notice, here's what's happening. That texture coordinate may be changing. Look at the slope here. See how this one is different from this one? It's a little bit different there. But that one, let's right click and let's see. Let's preview it. Yeah. It's all the way up there. And that, I wonder if the texture coordinate is what's causing that. I don't know. So we have to play around with the slopes and the parameters for the slopes to try to get something that is going to work. So let's take and let's reset these. See what we get. Yep, smaller now. Let's put in a 5. I'm going vertical. This is the vertical pattern now. That's the vertical pattern. So I think what we need to do is figure out, there it is. It's set to 1, back to its default state. In the preview. What I'm not getting though is that little, it still looks like it wants to. It's doing this crazy little thing where I can't see it. It's because something is going on way up here down there. I think, see, that's where all the stuff is happening. So your slopes are going to be different. Let's drag in one of the other ones. Let me bring in A. So now it wants to update. It's crazy. Okay. And that constant, we don't have anything on that constant. I'm just going to put this up here. So the coordinates is still set to 1 and 1. This is the original one, and it's looking the way it should look. And see, there it is. See down on the bottom, we're getting that green to come through. So we need to play around with the tiling here to sort of get that to start smoothing out a little bit better with that transition. We're going up too much because it's the coordinate, texture coordinate is what's causing that to repeat. Okay, so this is just one way of working out with a slope or gradients here. You have a few different ways of doing this thing here. See, it did the exact same thing, so we have to make those changes. But this is the original one, I think. And I made an adjustment there. Let's reset that. I'm going in the opposite direction. Let's bring that up a little bit, see if we can. And I'm not seeing any major changes here between here. So let's preview. Let's go back to the coordinate. Start over. Slowly bring that up. Yeah, it's at the top this time. And it looks like I need to bring it down. I think it was 0.2. Somewhere right in there. Yeah, and that green is still too high. There we go. Now, you notice how I'm constantly going in and trying to figure this out, trying to figure that out, trying to figure that out. There is another node in here. It's called a clamp node, where you can give it a maximum and minimum value. So I can say at 1, and what was that value here? This number here. I can tell it, hey, I don't want you to go any past higher than maybe 1.5, and as I increase this, it should not go past that value. Okay, it'll stay right there at that particular value right there. You can also, we can control this if we need to. We can put a you should be able to pipe in constants to each one of these. Again, giving the team the options of making those changes, see what happened there. So that's how this basically works here. So I'm clamping out whatever a certain value, so it doesn't go below or above a certain range there. Any questions on that? Okay. The next thing that's happening here is I have a texture. This is the texture that's being applied here. I also probably most likely want to add I'll do the exact same thing I did here, a coordinate. Okay, add that there so I can go U, hold down the U key, and push this right there. And we can play around with the settings if we need to play around with the settings there. And I don't see inputs here. I wish there were inputs so I can sort of play around with driving those instead of coming into the node there. Again, a multiply, and I can control basically what's happening here with this particular texture. Metallic, how metallic do I want this thing to be? The roughness here, we can drive the roughness with the texture. You can also drive the metallic with the texture if you want to do that. Okay, and it's really simple. We can take this one and I'm going to duplicate it. I also want to drive it. U to change the UVs on it. Let's bring that into the metallic. Okay, I don't know if you all can see the differences now. So it's getting a little bit more reflective there. And what I can do is I can also send this to a multiply. That multiply is just taking these two and blending them. So I can control what's happening here through that. See that right there? Not put it in the wrong one, doesn't go in the base, it goes there. Let's take the base out. Alt key, click, and just release that out of there. And I think the color, I need to take that color one. And I don't want to have to stretch all the way, so I'm going to right click here and connect it straight to the base color. So I get that. So we have the texture coordinate, we have the image where we can control what's happening here. See, I can really bring this up higher, or I can take it all the way out if I need to take it all the way out and have no metallic value, nothing at all. Okay, just by working that way. If I need to invert this again, remember that whole inverting this pattern there. That's called a. Let's go out here and what is it? Minus a 1 minus. So the 1 minus can go and drive. You see the inverse there to control that if we need to control it. There is a way of connecting that 1 minus to a switch where it turns on and off, but I gotta remember what that is. So that's how you do things like that. There, this one down here has a roughness. I have a totally different channel for roughness. So if I want to play around, see here I have these two different ones. You can mix two different textures too. That's what I'm doing here. And there's your blend. Someone asked about blending, so we can blend. There's a blend screen. I don't know if this one, let me check to see if it's actually going to work. This goes into the roughness channel, so let's right click here and send it to the roughness channel. And I don't think you're really going to see a difference, so you're going to know what we're doing here. So yeah, we can play around with it, but see, we're blending these two values together. There is what's happening. Okay. So that's what's happening there. Let's take a look at a few others. Let me apply that. So see, now it looks a little different. And I know some of you want to see that one. Let's take a look at this one here, because I need to quickly get ready to move on. This one, this particular node. So I have color going into a multiply, and here's the actual the alpha. So you can go out and create an alpha pretty much any way you need to. It's not that complicated. File new. Let's make this 512 by 512. Okay. So let's close this up. Nope. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. If you know Photoshop, this should be pretty easy. I'm hitting Alt backspace to fill in the foreground there, and I'm going to create a new layer here, and I'm just going to do something simple like put a I don't know. Let's go to marquee. There's different ways of doing this. I'm going to drag out a circle here, and I'm going to hold down the shift key and then the alt key to cut into that circle. Oh, not there. Make sure I get this right. This is going to add, where's the subtract? Used to be you can hold down the shift and the alt key to sort of subtract these. Now it looks like it's trying to blend these two together. That's crazy. So I'll tell you what, let's take that one first, and then let's fill it. I'm going to fill it with white. So control backspace. Okay. I'm going to control D to drop the marquee. And then I'm going to just draw out another circle here. Then hit delete. Let's draw out another circle here. Do something crazy and weird and hit delete. So now we have something like that. Okay, really simple. The alphas, let me check here because sometimes I'm going to use this one as a base to check to make sure that this is going to work the way I need it to work. You want to go into the channels and you see that little alpha right there. Let me show you how to create that if no one has ever shown you how to create this. The simplest thing that you can do. All you need to do is hold down the control key and click the thumbnail to load up the marching ants. That's what Photoshop calls this little marquee select. And I can go back into the channel tab, and down at the bottom, I'm going to see this little button there, and I can save and create a new alpha. So that's the alpha. So basically, this is what's cutting out. It's going to remove everything else that's in black and only leave what's there. That's how that works. So the formatting here, I'm going to save it as a PSD, and I'm going to save it as a TIFF. PNGs, for some odd reason, when you save them out, they don't always save the alpha that's attached to it. So there's only a few formats in here that truly will do that. A Targa, a TIFF, a PSD. Okay, so we can use a Targa. And now, here's the difference between a Targa and a TIFF. The TIFFs are mainly used in print. Photography, print, graphic design, anything that's going to be printed, you want to use a TIFF. A Targa, this is a old formatting for television. Okay. And then we have the PSD. PSD is pretty much open. It'll hold that alpha and all. And then they came up with the PNGs. Now the PNGs is technically supposed to be for web, but I'm finding that it will not embed. We can test it to see if it will, but normally it does not embed the alpha that you find from the channel. Okay. So we can save this out. Let's take a Targa. Let's see what we get here. And I want it there. Desktop. Moon thing. Have a Targa. Temp images. What did I put that? PSD. PS images. And then let's save it out. Let's say OK. So I'm going to file save as copy as a PSD. Desktop. What am I looking for? Temp. Wrong one. Click you first and then go PSD. PSD at the very top. Save. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop those in. For some reason, I don't see the Photoshop one. Okay, that's fine.
I have a question.
Yes.
For the like Photoshop textures or like logos, should we only work or make them in like black and white, or would it affect it if we made them in color?
No, that's the point I'm making here. You can create a color logo, but if you want that logo to actually cut out and clip out objects and areas, this is what the one thing we do with glass too. So if you want to clip out a certain region of a pattern, you have to create an alpha, and the alpha is only going to be a black and white. So I can create the color data over here, but if I want to use a specific, I can turn this half moon into a logo of some sort, make it any color I want, and apply it inside of Unreal. And what it's going to do is technically, say I made this thing red, it's going to come in red. But if I want to clip out all the black area, I have to create an alpha for that. Is what's happening here. Okay, so let's take this. Please mute your mic, and I'm going to drag this in. So I got a failure. Something is going on. It's not going to allow me to drag. So it doesn't like Targas. Yep, that's what it's telling me. It doesn't like a Targa. Now, I got to figure out what just happened to that. I saved this thing out. I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, let's just call it moon thing again. It's a PSD. Where is it dropping it? Yeah, it dropped it in this time. Let's see if we can bring this one in. So failed to import moon thing. Something is going on with that texture. So we need to figure out what's happening with this particular texture. Let me check the layers. Right here, RGB. You want to check the modes. Make sure it says RGB 8-bit. That's fine. But something, it's not liking something over here. Alpha. File. This time let's just do a regular save as. Moon thing. Save. Yeah, let me try to save it and bring it over again. So something is happening with that texture. It's a 2D texture and it does not like it. But why? Let's save it out as a TIFF. It could be Unreal doing just saying it doesn't like it. For some, I don't know why. There's a TIFF moon theme copy. Non-compressed. Include layers. Okay. So I'm seeing it. Let me show you what I'm seeing. There it is. I can actually see it there. Let's go back over here. Let's see if we can drag it in this time. Yeah, so something is going on with the formatting, and let me check the old mine. So make sure they're the same. Let's check here. We have 2 layers, and we have an alpha. I don't know what's happening here. There's something going on with Photoshop. Photoshop doesn't like this for some reason. 512, 512. What's the image size here? That doesn't matter there. Image size 72. Sample original 512. That's a big file. That's because let's scale this down. Image size. Let's go to 256. This should not matter, but I'm just gonna reduce it down. It's still a PSD, so let's save the PSD. And I'm trying to import it back over here. So for some odd reason, I can't even drag and drop this in. Yeah, it's not gonna let me. So if you're following along, let's change the folder. I'm gonna create a new folder and call it other. I need to hurry up. I got some other stuff to go. I can't even call that other. See, it's importing. You see that? That's crazy. So it has something to do with that particular folder. Let's take all of these and drag them in. See, there's an issue with. I don't think it has anything to do with the actual name. It could. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I can't bring in this file that has the exact same name, so I would have to come in and put a 1. You're not seeing this off screen. I'm gonna drag this in. Now, it's that 1 is the target. It does not like that target. That's fine. Let's just keep going. It does not like that target. So let's take a look at this one again. See what's happening here. So I have a color right there, flat color. So if I didn't need to, I can take this out. Let's see what we get. We're still getting an alpha applying someplace under opacity. Let's take that out of there. And you see now, this is what's happening. It's still using that pattern inside of the animation. The emissive is what we're getting. See, we're back to a flat green shape, flat green color to the base color. This has a texture, and I'm going to drag this texture back in here. Let's replace it. So this has a texture, and that texture is going into a multiply. Okay, so I'm going to apply this and because we are using an alpha this time, remember we created that alpha in Photoshop, we're using the alpha here. Okay. You can easily double click on the image and it'll show that. If I double click on the thumbnail there, it's showing me these. So I can play around and turn these off. These are all the different grayscale values also. We can turn on and off. And here's the alpha. Here's my size. There's the alpha. Great, it's working. Okay. I didn't save, so it asked me if I want to save when I stopped that. So let's just drag that back in here. And let's connect the alpha to there. Okay. Now let's disconnect. I tell you what, let me do this instead. I'm gonna close this, say no. Let's select this ball, let's bring it here because I don't want this to be that too confusing for you all. Let's apply it here. Okay. So I'm going to create a color. Let's go with color 3. Drive it in there. Okay. Let's take the alpha, bring it in here. And the alpha is basically what I'm going to do is drive this into what's called the emissive channel right there. And it's going to make this thing sort of glow out. So if I just drive it into the emissive right here, we're going to get that pattern. See, we're going to get that little pattern there. It's assigning that to the overall UVs of the pattern or on the sphere. I also want to control the opacity. Here is where it gets tricky. And let me remember this because this was a pain in my behind to make sure this was going to work. There's a particular shader here, and I think, let me go over and look at the other one first. Let's go ahead and apply this and save it, and we'll come back to it because I need to make sure that you all understand and get this correct. Remember what I said about these shaders. You notice that the opacity is not, we don't see the opacity here. That is because there's a conversion that has to happen. Inside of Unreal, for this particular shader, we have to make a major change to the shader here. Somewhere down here, let me find it. We have to turn something on, and you're never going to know this unless you do a little research here. There's an option in here. We just can't change it over to say it says surface and not default. This is the blend mode. It says translucent, but that's not where we do this. Because it's set to default lit. We just need to activate the opacity. I want to say it's under the lighting mode. We need to convert this over to surface translucency volume. Surface translucency volume. So let's go back. So with that shader, surface translucency volume. First, surface is set. Translucency. Lighting is set to surface translucency volume. See, that's how now we have access to the opacity. This is in the video. Please write this down in your books. So if you want to play around with transparencies and things like that, if you find a video out there that I think they're going to cover the exact same thing. So we have a surface, we have translucency, and I have to change it over to translucent. If I change it back to opaque, it goes away. So translucent. Surface translucency volume has to be turned on. So now this is going to allow me to pipe this right in the alpha right into the opacity. So I get that. And that's what you want. So the logo is coming through. Now imagine this being a piece of glass. So we can go here and put it on a box. We can put it on the floor. So see how flat that is now? You can click these little shapes here. If you actually had a wall, you can click that little, you can select your wall somewhere inside of the, wherever your mesh is, and you have to click that little brick, it'll drop in your wall here. I'm gonna do it when I do this little thing there with that Oculus. So we have this, we have, this is set into the emissive. Now the emissive does not have color. So we want to get color in here. So I'm gonna go, not a constant 1, let's go constant 3 again. Let's give this some color. And how do I do it? It needs to be a multiply. Let's take these out. Multiply these two together. So that's going to go here, and this one is going to drive it, and then this one is going to drive the emissive. Let's give it a color. Okay. So the emissive is what is used to make things glow. So if you want things to really glow, this is what is being used to sort of make that thing glow out. Now, the only drawback here, just a second. Need to make it look small. Update. If I want to make this thing glow out, now, one thing that I definitely need to do here is I want that color, that greenish color. I don't want to use this color here. I want this color here to also be applied to the alpha, and I want it to go into the base color. Or not the base color. Yes, I do want it to go into the base color. So I'm going to create a multiply. I'll pipe this here, and I'm also going to take this alpha and drive that alpha there, and then into the base color. Okay, let's make this a darker green ish color, like that. And then what I want to do here is I'm going to remove this one temporarily. I want to take I'm gonna create a color. I'm gonna add some things like I'm gonna take the alpha, I'm gonna drive it with a color, and then I'm gonna add what's called a power node. And I'm gonna use that power node to sort of help with the glow of whatever color that I have here, whatever color I want to drive. Okay, so I'm gonna add another 3. Click. Let's change the color. I don't know what color we want to use this time. Let's go bluish. Okay, I'm gonna add a multiply because I want to multiply what I get from the alpha to the B side to the color there, and let's give myself a little bit more room. I know it's confusing right now, but later when you do it and play around, it'll make more sense, especially when you start saying, hey, I want to make this thing really glow. Hey, I want it to do this. I want it to animate. Hey, these are just things that you'll have to research, but I'm trying to make it easy for you by doing some of the work for you here. Okay. All right, so I want to take this, and then I'm going to apply what's called a power node. So P or power. So this power node is going to help intensify this color. Okay. And then I'm going to drive that power into the emissive. Okay. Now, the power doesn't have anything going in there just yet because you see we have that value, which is set to 2 by default. Let's increase it. There's nothing there. See, the color is gone. Let's put in a higher value. So we have that going on now. And what I need to do also is add we should be getting a glow. We technically should be getting something glowing out right now with that power node, and it's not glowing. So let's see here. Let me take out the opacity. We get the emissive channel. The power is going in. The color's going in through there. This power node. The problem is, how high do I need to make this thing? 20? 20? Nope, we're still not getting anything going through that. Give me a second. Let me save this. Let me go check mine. Just to be clear on what's happening there. Yeah. Multiply to a power 20. It's set to 20. Don't worry about this one yet. This is how you animate. I just want to, I'm going to send that right there. Oh, so it's not. No, that's not right now. So we're going right in. Yep, we don't have the glow yet. Yeah, we don't have the glow yet. Time, sine, multiply, emissive channel, this thing here, that's why. So it is correct. So now when I pipe this one in, we're getting that little glow effect. And we'll see. We're gonna see in just a second. Nope. So I'm gonna take this and go back into the opacity here. Now to get this thing to start pulsating out, time. We want it to go in a unique up and down, up and down. We want it to increase and decrease. That's called a sine. That's trig. It's a sine wave. So we want this time to go into here, and over time it's going to go into this little sine wave. And we need to take the power and multiply it there. And I think I'm missing something there also. And let me pipe it into the emissive. See what it's doing? See how it's going up and down, up and down, up and down. Well, that up and down motion, and here we can adjust the period. I can't, if I increase it, it may go faster. Can't recall if it's going to go slower or faster. Looks like it's going slower. See that? The only drawback is I'm not getting that glow. And the glow should be coming from the color, which should be coming into the multiply, which should be coming here. Let's go check it one more time. Again, I have some stuff that I already have diagrammed out for you all, because this can get a little confusing when it comes to stuff like this. Let's just check this one more time. Yeah, it's driving to multiply, and right there, I want that maybe that value is what's doing it. Let's go check. It's crazy. I hadn't done this in a while, so that's why I'm having to go back a little bit. So let's add a parameter. And yep, I think this multiply has to go into a multiply. This has to go into a multiply there, and then a multiply here, and then this one goes there. Now let's take, see nothing. Let's bump this thing up. It says, let's go to 300. There it is. So the sine is being multiplied out. So there's our little blue color. Save. This is crazy. There needs to be an easier way of doing this, but this is the best way that I found to do this. So that's how we get that little glow in right there. All right, let me hurry up and get over to this little object here. So before we run out of time, let's frame up on this. We have this little obelisk here, and I need to, what you're gonna need to do is just drag and drop it in. I gave you, you have access to the FBX, and all you have to do is drag the FBX in. Let me do that real quick, because I think yeah, let me go find that right quick for you. Just go step by step. It's in my downloads. I'm off screen. Give me a second. Any questions while I'm looking for this thing? Because you guys are awfully quiet.
Actually, I do have a question. How easy is it to bring like Substance Painter textures and stuff into Unreal?
It's easy. That's what these are. Substance Painter has, when you export out if you understand how to export out in Substance Painter, there are videos out there I can give you. I have videos. I created this in one of my classes where it's real easy. You have to go into the texture exporter, and there are already templates. You can create your own template, but there are templates, and then the template that you want to look for is going to be called the Unreal Pact. But there's some changes to the file type, the file notation that you have to change up a little bit in order for it to know what you want, and then you can tell it exactly what you want to output. It's not complicated at all. And then when you give it a directory where you want it to output, and it's going to output all of the stuff that we have. Let me close this right quick. It's going to output all of these the files and textures that are associated with imported textures. It's going to give you stuff like this. Okay. Again, this is the stuff that I cover in my 3D class. If you're currently in a 3D class, I don't know who's teaching that. If it's Max most likely is going to be covering this stuff. Okay, on how to do it in Substance Painter. But this is, it's not that complicated. If you need me to, I'll get you a video on how to do that. I'll either track down one of my old videos or whatever, and which will cover that process of how to output. Okay, it's not that complicated. All right, I have the files. Let me put them in a specific place real quick. Just gonna drag and drop them in. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna show you real quick how to do this. Let's take these out. So all I'm going to do here, and I don't know if it's going to allow me, all you need to do is just drag and drop this stuff in. I'm going to go back to content. There is an assets folder. So what you want to do is pretty much just drag I'm sorry, let me just do the thing. Make more sense for me to just do that. Don't save. Okay, so I have the object. Mac demo 25 underscore C. Let's save that. I probably should have done this as a project, but I don't want to save it as a project. So all you have to do is drag and drop your items in. So say this monolith, we brought it in. You want to import in your textures also. So any textures that you have that you see inside of that maps folder, it'll say maps. You can just drag and drop. You should be able to drag and drop the whole map folder in, but if you can't, just create a folder called imported textures and drag every single one of those textures that you see inside of that zip file, which is right there. See those, just drag and drop them in. I have some alternative ones too. You can play around with these. I think I'm using the alt ones. I'll use the term alt in my folders as a backup to say, hey, these are better. That's what I do there. So all I need to do in this case is drag, go find the asset, bring the asset in. Okay. I have two of them. So let's take this and rotate it. Let's take this one, drag it in. Okay, this is the little piece that associated. And what I may want to do here in this case, see right there on the location, I need to reset this, take that one there and reset it also. And let's reset the rotation so they're all in the exact same place. What I don't need is, this has a material assigned to it. Because this is gonna come in gray. It's gonna come in gray. So let's take this out. It's the exact same thing that I have there. So I'm gonna create a new material for this thing. So I have that piece and I have this piece. Let me select this one. And technically, when I select you, we should see you.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the model, when I downloaded it from iCollege, the two pieces came together. Is that correct?
What do you mean? Yeah, you mean, and so yeah, they're gonna drop in. See, y'all making me just. I'm gonna have to just create a new project just to show you. Let me do
Oh, no, they
that.
came in as one model. They didn't come
No,
in as
they
two
are.
together.
Yeah, hold on.
Oh,
Yeah, they are. Give me a second here. It depends. It should say FBX when you drag. See, I'm not dragging it in. Is what's happening here. What I can do though is, let me delete, force delete, and now let's drag these in. So when I drag this in, it's gonna ask me a few things. How do you want this to come in and all this stuff? So I'm just gonna import it, and see, there they are. So I have two different things. Okay.
oh, okay.
So there they are. Now the only drawback is one of these I'm still getting the texture on it, and I don't want the texture. I thought I deleted that. Force delete. There it is. So it should come in. Let me see if I can drag these in at the exact same time. Select you and control select you and drag these in. Yes. And now I'm able to scale this thing up and down and rotate it wherever I need to rotate it. So we have two different ones here, and they have the exact same material assigned to it. Looks like it doesn't, but they should have the exact same material. If I double click on this item here, it's going to show me the item. This is just a place for me to check, and if it has UVs, I can check the UVs on this thing here. If I go into channel 0, these are the UVs that I put on this thing. So, and I can check all the other little doodads. If I have collision, I can put collision on this. Remember, we covered collision. We can show the collision and all, but I'm not going to add collision on it. So here are the meshes. So I'm not concerned about these things right now. I have these. So I'm going to go back and let's create. Let me find that folder again. I hate that. I'm going to create a new material here. Call it ob. Should be ob mat. Drag and drop that on. Let's double click here. So now this is where all the magic is going to happen, and we'll see how far I can get into this thing here. I may not make it glow and all. I'll get you the notes, or I'll get you the screen captures that will cover that stuff for you, for anyone that wants to make the veins grow. So the imported texture, the very first one that I need to concern myself with is going to be the color one. So I'm going to drag and drop that in right there. And let's pipe it in here. This is the albedo, and the albedo, let's apply it. There it is, and let's just save that right quick. Okay, the next one, I'm going to go with, before I bring in these other ones, I'm going to bring in the normal map. The normal map is this purplish looking one there. Let's drag that in. Put this in a position where it's easier to see while I'm working here. Let's drag this down here also. So the normal map is going to go directly into the normal. And what that normal is going to do and allow me to do is it's going to give me, see how I'm losing this? So let me show you this trick here. If I select the mesh, let me go find the mesh. So now with the mesh selected here, all I have to do is click that little brick, and now I can see it in real time. That's what the normal is giving me. If I take this off, see nothing. If I add it, this is the trick. This is the magic trick of gaming. This is what you guys are seeing when you're playing these games. You're basically seeing a little color, adding different colors for RGB, and it's the green channel that's bringing out all that extra detail. So this detail that's really not there. When I move the lights, the shadows will move across this map. Is what was happening there. Let's apply it. See it? So now we got something that's working for me. Go back to the side here. And you just want to continue on. The next one, one of the most important ones, imported textures, is going to be that one right there. This is the one, this is the power one. This is the one we have to concern ourselves with ARM and how to break that thing up. Okay? So with that ARM system, we need to figure out RGB. So ARM is going to be the ambient occlusion. So the ambient occlusion, if you check your notes, and you all have notes, right? Remember I mentioned that in the notes, right?
All right.
Who has notes? So what's connected to what? I'm quizzing you right now. What's connected? What's connected? What is the Argo?
R
Which one
goes
of
into
these? Go ahead.
R goes into the ambient.
Goes into the ambient. Okay. Where does the green go?
Roughness.
Goes into the roughness, and then the blue goes directly into the metallic. Okay, let's apply that. See how it changed? Okay. Now, the problem here is we need to be able to make changes here on the fly. I want to be able to control that when I need to control that. We also have an emissive. Let me go ahead and connect the emissive just to connect the emissive. I'm not going to do all the animation stuff there for the emissive, but we have a mask. I'm going to double click that mask. So here are all the veins. So in Substance Painter, I painted these. You can create a mask channel, and you can right click on that channel and just save it as an alpha. So I painted inside of Substance through these to sort of get that little pattern there, and then saved it out. Okay, so let's go back to the ob. Select you, click you, color, packed, normal, and I want to bring in this texture right there. Zoom out a little bit, and let's just pipe it directly into, right click, the emissive color. There's no color assigned to it. There's nothing there. But you see that color, that white color is coming through there, right? So from here, we need to start making changes here. And the changes we want to make is, I want to be able to control the metallic. I want to control the roughness. I want to use this as a driver to do that, but I want to control that. So I'm going to add a constant 1. I'm going to add a multiply. Let's work on the metallic first. Okay, and this metallic is the blue channel, right? It's going to go into A. This one is going to B, and then we're going to drive that right into the metallic. So now what this means is, with 0, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see there. If I make this 1, well, remember, we don't have any roughness on it just yet, so it's really not going to really matter about this just right at the moment, because we need to get that roughness in there. They go hand in hand. I need to move this in a way where it's easier to see too. These little noodles are going to get in the way, so you want to figure out how to organize. You can break you can break the connection, and there are other ways of actually connecting these things back. I'm not going to cover that here, but let's go ahead and play around with the roughness. So let's create another multiply. Let's create another constant, 1. Let's take the green channel and go into the multiply, and let's put that into the roughness. See how reflective that is now? Because of this value. Because we don't have, the roughness does not have any values there. So when I start increasing this up, so go study, if when you want this thing to be wet, you know how to do that now. If you want this thing to be more dryish, you just want to increase those values up to maybe 0.8 or something like that. It's going to give me somewhat of a more drier type stone look. I can take the metallic down to maybe 0.5, or you just got to play around with these to figure out what you want there. Okay, so this has gold inlay. Okay, and you want to repeat that for the other piece too. It's the exact same methodology for the other piece, this piece here. So let's try, let me find that piece real quick. And let's create a material. Now, I should technically be able to take the orb, right click, duplicate it. If you don't want to have to do this again, duplicate this thing. And let's rename this thing to, what is this thing? Relic. That's what I'm calling it. So I have the relic here, and I can double click that. And only thing I should have to do now is go find all the relic pieces. So this one, that one, the normal map for the relic, drag and drop them in, replace to base color, take that one, and here I'm gonna have to pipe it in. Let me undo that because I did something I didn't need to do there. If I can undo. Yeah. And so look here, remember these do not have the parameters assigned to them. So yes, I did that right. I'm gonna need to create the parameters also for those. So where's my ambient? Let me just right click and go to straight to ambient occlusion. The roughness is gonna go to the red is gonna go to come on, and then the green is gonna go to metallic. Let's check it. Select it here. And you see how it's changing it right here is because I need to take this, find it, and replace it right there. There it is. And it looks a little off. It could have something to do with the UVs and all, but I need to get the normal map in here also because the normal is still assigned. The normal map should not be assigned there. So let's right click here and assign it to the normal. There we go. Just like that. And then I also have an emissive. Drag in the emissive and connect the emissive. So this is how you get that little glow. And then we can animate the glow and all this good jazz there. So let's apply that, which I haven't dropped it on yet. And let me go ahead and save and close. Yes. View. Let's find the folder. And here's the relic right there. That's pretty much how that works. Okay. Don't worry. I have a layout. I have some layout stuff. Let me show you real quick. This stuff here, it's gonna pretty much, if you can see it, it's gonna walk you through what I'm doing there. What's connected to what. Turn off the RGB. It also says to turn off the RGB for this map. So that map right there, let me show you how to do that real quick before I let you go. How to turn off that, it's going to be here inside of the find. You need to find the texture, double click on the texture, and there is an option in here to turn off the RGB. RGB. Where is that? I think it's already off. But when you get yours, it may not be off. You want to convert that thing and make sure it says that the RGB is going to be off. As it states here, turn off RGB for this map. This will convert each channel into a scalar. So that's not it. But in here is an option. Let me find it. I gotta find it, and if I need to send out a note on how to do that, I'll do that. But that's, you got to turn off the RGB channels for that. Any questions? Because I think they're already off. We'll do a little bit more. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to extend this a week. Let me think about it. Because we are done on, your last day is December the 8th. And I think that gives me more time to really do more. So let me think about that and figure out what we're going to do here. And we might need to cover the materials for an extra week. Okay. Any questions? Okay, look, just if I give you. Because I'm going to tell you what happens when I do this type of thing. Every time I say that, students get all excited. I got extra time, and then you procrastinate and you wait till the last second, and it shows up in your work. You're not going out. You're not doing that research. You're not looking at this stuff that I'm covering anyway. You figure that you can just watch the video and go back and watch it. I understand. I was a student. You can just watch the video and it's going to give you and just go through the motions, but you're not picking up anything. You're not making mistakes. You're not trying to figure out how to get around those mistakes. You're not pushing yourself. You're not challenging yourself. You just think that just because you know this stuff now, you're going to remember it and retain that information later. Wait till you have to remember, here's what's happening next year. This school is pushing, really, we're going to be pushing portfolio. Art test is going to be a thing. I brought that here. We're really going to be pushing art tests and portfolios. I got pros who are talking about helping out with that. Okay? Now, my advice to you all would be to start to get ahead of the game. Start doing as much as you can to learn as much as you can, take as many notes as you can, because they also may be reviewing your portfolio. So if they see stuff that they don't like, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you the truth. And this is not correct. You're not doing this. And I don't want that to happen. So I want you to start, you got to make sure that you are practicing your behinds off. Hear me when I say that. You all need to start practicing, makes improvement. Okay? Practice does not make perfect. So you need to keep practicing and working this thing out and be more judgmental about your own work, your styles, the look, and all. If you know something is not right, go figure it out until it is right. Okay? Work in progress, put that stuff up. I'll get you over this video. I'll also get you over these little, I'll activate it. There's a channel already on here, Thread. I'll activate these so you have access to it. Let me do it right now. I'm going to unlock a channel. Where is it? Is it locked? Should not be locked. Permissions. It's not private anymore. Do not add anything to that little section. Go look in and see if you see a new section that's called EndNotes Examples. Go look in there. Let me know that you can see that right now.
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is what you need right there for this particular thing. I also have Unreal Notes. If you haven't seen those notes are right below it. So that is going to help you with this particular part of the assignment. It should help you with both parts. I want to say the Obulus stuff, yeah, it's in there also. So you should be good. Any questions before we shut this thing down? I got to get prepared for my next class. No, good. Give me a second here. Just get the roll. We're done. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.